Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to 27x your money with this really cheap option trading strategy. I'm going to show you multiple different option trading strategies that are going to require basically $20, $50, not that much more than even $100. I'm going to show you how to manage this position, how to close it. It's going to completely blow your mind because if you put in 50 bucks, you can potentially make like $1,000 on the strategy. And I know a lot of people here want to grow a small account. You want to get to financial freedom. You want to potentially, just have more freedom in your life. So I'm going to show you this insane option strategy. This is a little bit of a difficult option strategy. I'm warning you right now, it can be hard to manage, but if you get it right, it's basically like lottery tickets. So I'm going to show you the strategy on American Airlines to get started. American Airlines has a lot of sideways action. In fact, if you look at the stock over a 1-year period, it has gone up, down, up, and now is going sideways. This is a very predictable stock. In the past month, it's down a little bit, but really, it's a very consistent stock that goes sideways. Basically, it's always at $14 per share, give or take, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to trade American Airlines options. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sell. I'm going to create a peak, okay? This is going to be interesting because I'm going to create a peak here at $14, all right? So what I'm going to do now is, and by the way, you want to use this strategy. It can be a week out, it can be 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. Let's just go for about 3 weeks out until expiration. This is going to be basically in 3 weeks, you can multiply your money multiple times. All right. So let's go to sell call. I'm going to go for the 14 call. And now what you have to do in this scenario is you have to buy a call option higher. And you also have to buy a call option lower. At the moment, it's not going to look good because you have to create a custom order. So if you go to custom order, you need 1 equal sell to each buy. So if I go for 2, now you can see I'm creating a very interesting position where I'm just risking $8. $8. This is the same price as Chipotle and you're making $42. All right. So you can scale this strategy up very easily. I mean, if you were just to open up like 10 contracts here, you can risk $80 and make $420. Okay. So that's going to more than 4x your money in 3 weeks. Just imagine. You can easily hit 25x your money, 50x your money in a given year. Now, the caveat is you do need this strategy to work out multiple times in a row. It's not necessarily easy. You need to figure out if a stock is going sideways. You need to figure out a stock that doesn't have high momentum or low momentum, which is very neutral. One thing that you can do is you can go to the RSI band and just see that it's around 50. And this strategy can also be difficult to manage. So you want it to be right in this green zone, okay? But the green zone is pretty good, okay? The peak is at $14. That's where you make your maximum profit. Now, if the strategy ends up anywhere in between, you're going to make various amounts of money, whether it's $120 or $200. You want to make sure that a stock is really range bound. This strategy, basically, it's like a lottery ticket, but at the same time, you can consistently hit this strategy and be profitable on different stocks, especially when they have high implied volatility. You can collect so much income. So right here, what I would do is if it's at 14 and every day that goes by, this is going to make money. Now, one of the hardest things is because you're dealing with multiple options, and here you have actually 4 option legs, you're dealing with 4 different legs. So they're kind of hard to close because when you go to close them, they each can cost $1 each to close, right? $1 extra, right? Because there's a bid-ask spread. So when closing out this trade, it can be difficult. So you do want to make sure that you have enough profit. So let's say that you open up for 80, you want to make sure that you have at least $160 worth of profit. And $4 doesn't really matter. I mean, it still kind of matters because from 80 to 160, it's $80 of profit. And $4 is, it's like 5% cost. So there is some cost running this strategy, even if your broker is free, but this is an amazing strategy to 2x your money in 2-3 weeks. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of variation in this strategy and another example. So I'm going to use Tesla. Tesla is really good because it has a lot of implied volatility. So let's say that you think Tesla is going to stay around $170 per share. What you really want to understand is, again, the only important thing is that a stock just stands at the same price. If it's not going up or down a lot and it's just staying flat, beautiful. Okay. So here you'll see that Tesla recently had earnings, so it's unlikely to move a lot. So this is actually a perfect strategy to use. Once the stock has had earnings, it's just moving sideways. You can basically do this again. So I'll go to trade Tesla options. We can pick something that's even more shorter term. So let's go to 2 weeks from expiration. If you're watching this video in the future, that's totally okay. Just copy the same logic, the thought process that I'm using here, and then apply to a stock that you think it has a very similar pattern. So you don't have to just use call options. You can also create a solid tree strategy here, basically from doing a put option. So for example, actually, let's say that you think it's going to be slightly bullish. So I'm going to show you neutral, bullish, and bearish. Okay. I'm going to show you all 3. So here, let's just say that you are a bit bullish. So you think that Tesla's going to end at 175. So what you would do is you can create even wider spreads. So you don't always have to go down by 1. Actually, sorry, what we want to do is we want to sell a put. All right, so we're going to sell the 175. Now, we don't have to go down by 1. We can go down by 2, the 170, and then we can go up by 2, all right? So again, you want to have equal distance. And I'll show you what it looks like if it's not equal distance, but you want to go down by 2, you want to go up by 2. And now we're going to create a custom order. This is very important. You want to make sure there is an equal sell amount for each buy. So I'm going to create a 2 sell. Now you'll see that this strategy basically has a very similar look to the one I was doing before. And the peak right here at 175, you can turn $63 into $437. So this is even better of a return. You're risking even like less money, just 60 bucks to make over 400. So here, this is a slightly bullish strategy where you would expect Tesla to go up a little bit. And actually you can pick this point at any amount that you want. So for example, let's say that I wanted to adjust this to go higher and I thought that it was going to end a little bit higher, right? So I would kind of reverse this trade a little bit, and instead of 175, I would go for 177.5, but I would still, you could still move up. Now it's 3 difference. So I will go 3 difference again. So 1, 2, 3. And now I do have to create that custom order again. So I'm going to create a custom order. All right, 2. And now you will see that, I just kind of changed the ratios a little bit here, but I'm still getting a very good return. But now my peak is a little bit higher. So instead of 175, now it's 177.5. So this is a bullish strategy here, and the way you manage it is if the stock goes up, you're going to be seeing a lot of profits. In fact, if Tesla just goes up a little bit, you may decide to cut this position because the amount of money that you put up, the 118, if it goes to 200, you may say to yourself, I'm happy. I turned $118 into 200. I'm just going to cut this position, and that's perfectly fine. You're probably, just being honest with you, you're not going to get $632 unless this perfectly ends at 177.50. You're not going to get the full amount of money. Your goal is not to turn 118 into 600. Your goal is just to multiply 118 into, maybe it's 300, maybe it's 400. Okay, each time is going to be different, but as long as the stock moves in the right direction and giving it some time, there's only 14 days. In 7 days, Tesla moves up towards 177. You're going to see a big profit. You're going to 2, 3, or 4x your money here in this scenario. So I would just cut that position there. Now I'm going to show you a different variation of this strategy, very similar strategy, but we're going to do a bearish amount. So step by step, I want to show you the third strategy, which is going to be on Palantir. This is a really good stock because Palantir specifically, if we look at the chart right here, has actually had a very big bullish run. But now again, it's also trending sideways. So I'm actually going to show you a put strategy where you can put in very little and literally squeeze out multiple times what you put in. And this is going to be pretty insane because I've seen my students do this from time to time. Obviously, I would not dump all my money into a strategy like this, but you can absolutely get a huge return that's 15, 17, 20 times on your money and in a very short amount of time. The profits are literally insane on a position like this. So let me show you how this is going to work. I actually currently already have a position that I am slightly down on, but my options are making money. So that's good. My options typically make money even when the stock goes down. Now let me show you how this put strategy works. And there's actually several put strategies I would run on Palantir right now. So in my opinion, Palantir is not likely to go below this area of $13 per share. And that is just because, as you can see right here, back in June of 2023, there was a very good support level, and then another double support level back in August, and then another double support back in September. And literally now in 2024, I think that Palantir is going to have a pretty good return, and I don't think that it's going to fall below $13. In fact, I think it's going to stay around the $16 mark. It could go up, I'm not sure, but the strategy that I'm going to use right now is actually going to have a very big benefit, even if Palantir just trends sideways. So I'm going to show you something like the March 15, which is about 2 months away. Again, you can do this 1 month away. I'm just going to choose 2 months away just to show you how this strategy could work with a 2-month option expiration. So now I'm going to go ahead and sell a 15 put. And actually, let's just say we're a little bit bullish here and we think that Palantir is slightly going to rise. I'm actually going to sell the 16 put option, and I'm going to go ahead and actually buy the 15. Actually, instead of buying the 15, the way to make this strategy even more profitable is if I go all the way down to say like 11, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and buy the 11 put, and then I'm going to buy the 18. Now, the reason why I'm going for 18 is because I do think that Palantir could slightly rise, but even if it were to rise to 17, I'm just kind of being a little bit safer here by going for 18. And again, we do need to create a custom order, because if we don't create a custom order, then this is just a very bearish strategy, pretty much like a ladder put strategy here where you're making some initial money and then a lot more money as Palantir falls lower. But Obviously, that's not what we're trying to do. This position, if you want to properly set it up, you want to have 2 sells here, and obviously 2 buys. You're going to have 1 buy at the 11 put and then 1 buy at the 18 put. As you can see here, this is a very interesting strategy because even on the upside, you're still basically covered. And right here, Palantir stays pretty range bound. You have a peak expected profit of $203. And here you're putting up 297. So again, you are getting a roughly 66% return. But the beautiful thing here is if Palantir goes up, which is my assumption, you are actually going to profit. Now, one more thing that you could do is, I'm not sure if you can actually have 4 legs here, but I can include something like a $20 call. Yes, this could work right here. As you can see, something like this, and actually I'm not even sure if I would go for 20 in the short term. I would pick a different expiration date. So let's just say I'm gonna go a little bit longer. Let's just say 6 months. If I go for something like a $20 call option, you will see here that we have a really big upside. And this is a really interesting pattern because your maximum profit here would be unlimited. And honestly, like if Palantir were to go past like $25 per share, you would start to experience a 2x on your money, very, very quickly. And you can actually close out this position in say 30 days. So if Palantir were to have a pretty big move, you could exit out of it for around these areas of $20 per share. But my main goal is, say that 1 month has passed by and you basically have a profit of 124 right here. That's a 20% return, and you can honestly get that in even less than a month sometimes. Literally, if Palantir were to stand still for a couple of weeks, since these 2 options or these 3 options are actually expiring in March, you can actually experience a very short-term big gain, and then you can cut the position early. There's no reason to actually hold on to a position, longer than needed, especially for buying strategies like these, since you are buying some of these options. It can get really complex, and that is why some of these strategies are more difficult to manage and why they're not my preferred #1 strategy. However, this is one of the best strategies for really growing a small account super fast, although again, hard to manage. Now, the profit that I'm typically going after on a buying strategy is going to be anywhere from 10 to 20% in under 30 days. But honestly, another strategy that I use, and this is going to be a bonus strategy, is going to be the PMCC strategy. So I would do something like, let's say I'm gonna buy a call at $18. Okay, now this is really interesting because this is a different way of doing things. Typically, when people buy leap options, they go for in the money. You can also do out of the money, so I can buy an 18, and then in the shorter term, I can sell options. So let's say I go for slightly less, like 3 months out, and I go to actually sell a call, and I sell something like, let's say the 19 strike price right here. You can see how you get a very big actual profit here, where you are more than doubling your money. So you're putting up $167, but you're making $180. So you can actually double your money here. This can really happen in a shorter amount of time because although this option is expiring like quite a bit out, and so is this one, you're not gonna realize the full profit. But if Palantir stock goes in this direction, these options will start to profit very quickly. And say for example that you make $80 on 167, so you get a 50% return in 3 to 6 weeks. What I would do is I would just cut that position because again, I don't want to get greedy. If I get a 50% return in 3 to 6 weeks roughly, again, it depends on a few factors. Like you definitely want to look at the technical analysis. And for example, if the stock goes up and the RSI goes from like 42 to 62, then I know that the stock is kind of overheating. And if I made a good enough return in a short amount of time, it's basically an emotional decision where I will decide to cut the position. Now, I know a lot of people think that it's a logical decision, but in fact, you want to think about it in multiple different aspects. Now, I also want to use technical indicators that I don't commonly discuss called the Ichimoku Cloud with you guys. And I want to show you an example that I was 100% correct on this exact stock, where I made so much money in the past 5 months in a row actually using the Ichimoku Cloud. So pay attention to this example if you really want to get this strategy correct. I want to show you something really interesting and really new. So with Palantir, what I'm looking at right now is an indicator, the Ichimoku Cloud. And essentially, Palantir has been inside this cloud for some time. Now, of course, if you're watching this video in the future, you can still apply the same principles of these 3 strategies that I'm going to show you today to the future. Okay, so taking a look, it's inside the cloud, and for me, what that means is it's likely to continue trading within a specific range. So I've done a lot of research into Palantir. Obviously, it is a good company long term, but in the short term, I do think it's going to stall out. And specifically, if I go to the indicator RSI, we're also going to take a look that the RSI is somewhere in between 20 and 80. So I believe that Palantir is going to stall out for the short term. Now, if a company like Palantir is going to stall out, there's actually a phenomenal strategy where you can make tons of money, and I mean 25x return. So let's open up this position. It's going to be a little bit complicated, and I will warn you that this strategy is a bit harder to manage. There's a whole lot to it. However, if you get it right, obviously there is some really, really huge rewards. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to go to sell. I'm going to sell a $15 call option. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a call option. I'm going to go down lower. Okay, so I'm going to go down into the 13.5 strike right here. And I'm also going to go up into the 16 strike right here. Now, this is going to look a little bit weird because the position setup is not ready. And basically what I'm doing right here is this 15 strike is actually the anchor. It's the top of the Christmas tree, if you will. It's the very peak of where you think this stock is going to trade. And I picked 15 again, because when I look at the technical analysis, I really think that Palantir is going to stay within the cloud right now. So if I go to custom order and I go to customize, you want to make sure that you have an equal amount of sells for each buy.